Hey everyone, how are you doing today? I hope that you're having an absolutely wonderful day. It is time to update my Shop My Stash. I feel ready to swap out the makeup that I have been using regularly for some other stuff in my stash. It's always exciting to me. I love doing these videos. I always start with the products that I have been working on. I tell you some of my thoughts, and then I'll show you the new stuff that I have picked out. And if I remember to, I'm gonna put that in there. If I remember to, I'm gonna try and put a timestamp in the description box or in a comment or something, so that if you want to skip the first part and just see the new stuff I pick out, then you can do that. Let's start with base products. I was trying out two new base products to me in the past couple of weeks. This one from Kosas. This is the Tinted Face Oil. I have the shade number 3. This is weird. The first time I used it, I used way too much and it looked heavy and I hated it, which I didn't think it would be possible for a product like this to look heavy, but it actually has more coverage than you'd think. I was expecting very sheer and very dewy. Obviously, I have not been paying attention to reviews on this because I did not think it was dewy. Even though it's an oil, it's more like a dry oil with the pigments suspended in the oil, so that when you rub it in, it's not dewy looking. It's kind of fresh looking, but I wouldn't call it dewy. And in the instructions, it only says to use 2 to 4 drops for your whole face. Definitely, I would say 2 to 3 in my case. Initially, when I put it on, I don't like how it looks. I feel like I can sort of see it on top of the skin, and I feel like I work with it a lot to try and rub it in. But I actually feel like this is one of those products that looks better the longer you wear it. At the end of the day, it looks really good, but especially a few hours in, when I notice my skin, I'm like, oh, for some reason, it's looking better. So I don't know if it's mixing with my normal face oils to make it melt into my skin better or whatever. But this is one that, yeah, that's been my experience. I put it on and I kind of go, eh, but then a couple hours in, I like it more. So yeah, this is odd. I got it on a severe, a great sale through Ipsy. Otherwise, I never would have tried it. It's kind of an expensive product, and I must say the component feels really, really cheap. Honestly, something that you would find at like a dollar store type component, really cheap plastic. So I was surprised by that and kind of let down even when I bought it on sale, knowing that it's supposed to be kind of more high end. I thought that was just, I don't know, not my favorite. Anyway, I don't dislike it enough to get rid of it. It does work for me, so it will be staying in my stash. It was an interesting product for sure. The other product I've been trying out is this one from Tower 28. I have the shade number 10. I say that as Larchmont, but I heard someone else pronounce it as Larkmont, and I think it might be someone who actually knows better. I know that these are named after places in California, and so maybe I'm just not aware that that's supposed to be Larkmont instead of Larchmont. I don't know. In any case, I got shade number 10. It's a pretty good match for me. It's a little bit yellow, but I feel like I can make it work. And other people reviewing this, people were talking about how sheer it was. I felt like it had a lot more coverage than sheer. I felt like it was easily buildable up to medium, especially if you're going to be wearing enough to wear this as a sunscreen. It does have SPF 30. I prefer to wear sunscreen underneath it so that I don't have to put on such a heavy coating of this. Even if you do use a lot though, it'll still look nice. It has a nice skin-like finish. It's not too dewy, but it's not matte. It's right down the middle, kind of a skin-like finish. And I like it. I like it a lot. Happy to have this in my stash. I was really, really excited to see this come out from Tower 28. They're a brand that does not come out with new things very often, which makes it really exciting when they do come out with something new. So yes, very much enjoying this. And then one of my favorite things that I have discovered this year, I was also using my Essence Pretty Natural Foundation. I use the shade 40. This is the one I'm wearing today. This is I would call this very, very skin-like. When I put it on, I feel like it's pretty seamless. It looks like my skin, and it wears amazingly. It wears really, really well. And it's very, very affordable. No SPF in this one, which I know actually some people would prefer, but I always like having this out because it looks good on camera. It looks good in person too, but since it's not so glowy, I feel like it looks better on camera than some of my other foundations. So anyway, this will be going back into my stash. It's snowing. Okay, I'm gonna try not to be distracted by that. Oh, I totally forgot to mention to you the day. I went to take a sip and I'm like, oh, I didn't even tell you what I was drinking. I am drinking Tazo Awake tea. It's a robust black morning breakfast tea. I like to drink mine with a splash of milk. It's definitely not for the faint of heart. It's a pretty strong black tea. Okay, real quick, I'm gonna mention this powder. Last time I rolled in this powder to see what I thought of it, and I still don't know what I think. This is the e.l.f. Halo Glow setting powder. I have a really hard time reviewing powders, you guys, whether unless they're like really, really amazing or like really, really horrible. Like I have a hard time forming opinions. I'm gonna keep this out. I need to use it more. I need to figure it out. I really don't know. If I ever do figure it out, I'll make sure and tell you. As for highlighters, I had pulled out my Maybelline Perfector 4-in-1 Glow Makeup. I tried using this as a primer underneath my foundation and I didn't care for it. It was just too much too much shine for me. So again, I'll probably just keep this to the high points of my face. It's a really pretty product though, and it's not going to be really, really glowy. It's going to be a very soft, very natural glow. So I do enjoy this. The shade I have is 00 Fair Light. The other highlight I had out was my Double Gleam. What do they call this? It's called the Extra Dimension Skin Finish in the shade Double Gleam. You can sort of see that I'm starting to make a little bit of progress. I tend to focus my brush right there. This is one of those like baked gelée type formulas, and I love this so much. It's beautiful. You can easily build it up to be quite blinding. I think I accidentally did that one day. I was enjoying applying it too much. It was like, oh, it's so pretty. And then later I saw myself, I was like, holy smokes, a bit too much. So you can go pretty glam with this, or you can go light-handed and just keep it a very nice soft glow on the cheeks. But I really, really enjoy this formula. It's beautiful. I think this is definitely the brightest highlighter I have in my stash though. One to be a little bit careful with. I had only pulled out a couple blushes. Let's talk about them. This one from Honest Beauty. I love this. I really love the color. It's rosy, but it's more like a rosy brown. Like it has enough brown in it to make it so it's not a bright blush. It is very pigmented. I didn't even say, I'm sorry. This is from Honest Beauty. It's the shade Rose Pink. As I was saying, it has enough brown in it to make it neutral enough to go with a lot of looks. And it's very pigmented. I just put my little finger in there, I get a little bit. And I like it with a brush as well. And I think Amanda Z is obsessed with using a sponge with this. I've heard her say that so many times. I have yet to really try that. Anyway, this is my oldest cream blush, so I wanted to give it some love the past couple of weeks, and it still works beautifully. I love it very much. So this was kind of like on a chopping block type part of my brain. So this is the ColourPop Cheek Dew. This is the serum blush. I have the shade Psst. And I finally figured out how to use this, which I'm so glad to say. I was on the verge of decluttering this and I just didn't know who I could possibly give it to. But so I don't like using it with a sponge. It's just too wet and a sponge just sucks it right up. You get like nothing left on your face if you use a sponge. I don't really care for using my fingers either. It works better than a sponge and you'll definitely get a lot more color payoff, but I had a hard time making it look blended. And I felt like the more you worked with it, it kind of got patchy looking. I didn't like that either. I did wear it a few times like that, but it just wasn't my favorite. But I finally decided to use a stippling brush. I don't know what took me so long. And so I would put just a little squirt on the back of my hand, dip my brush in, and that's my favorite way. I could actually get it to look nice and blended in, and I felt like I had more control that way. So happy I don't have to declutter this. So it's definitely still not my favorite blush in my stash, but now that I figured out how to use it, I can finally use it more often. So that was a happy thing to discover for me. Eyeshadow palettes. So I had this one from I Heart Revolution, the Cocoa Pebbles palette. You can see it's just a beautiful neutral color story. I've been enjoying using this. I have been using it and I've just been loving the looks that I have made. This did get rolled into a project though, so this is going to be staying out on my vanity. The other palette I had pulled out was this one from Too Faced. So I got this in the Ulta 21 Days of Beauty sale, and I really wanted to use every shade before I put it back, and I did. Today I'm actually wearing the smokier shades on this side of the palette, and oh my goodness, I had such a good time with this. If I can find in my photos, I did take a couple pictures of the looks I created with this palette, and I thought it was so pretty, so lovely. I thought the mattes were nicely pigmented, but not terrifyingly pigmented, you know. I don't like working with really pigmented mattes, whereas I felt like these hit that sweet spot right down the middle where I just put my brush in once, it was enough, and I could easily blend it out. Some of these shades I felt like actually were a lot darker on my skin than they look in the pan, so that was an interesting surprise. The different textures in here are very interesting. A few of these have more of like a hunky chunky texture, but when you put them on your lid, they create a beautiful, sparkly, kind of wet look effect. And then the shades that aren't so sparkly, there's kind of more of the foiled shadows. Those also, when you kind of blend them out on your eyelid a little bit, they have a very beautiful twinkly effect that I enjoyed very much. So the first Too Faced palette I've ever owned. I don't have a lot of plans to buy from them. They're not a brand that I don't know, I'm not into that brand, but I do really like this palette. I'm really happy too to be able to have tried the formula and find that I like it. Lip products, let's start with the one I'm wearing today. This is the Revlon Super Lustrous Shine lipstick. This is the shade Sparkling Honey. I'm actually gonna put a little more on. There, that's better. I feel like I had put it on a while ago and it had worn off a little bit, and now that feels a lot better. This is so pretty. You can apply a very sheer layer for just kind of get a shine and a little bit of color, or you can build it up and it looks so pretty. I love, love, love. Rosy browns. It's such a sweet spot for me. I love it. I love this formula. I've been really, really into it. A very similar shade to this one actually is this tinted lip oil from e.l.f. I love this. I just rolled this actually in my project pan, so this is going to be staying out on my vanity. The Clinique Chubby Stick in the shade Strawberry. Yeah, it's the same thing. It's kind of like a sheer lipstick formula, really moisturizing. I enjoyed it very much. Kosas Wet Lip Oil. This is the shade Malibu. I feel like I didn't use it very much because I was panning a gloss that was exactly this shade, but I did use it a little bit, so I'm gonna be putting this one back. I like the formula of this. I'm not obsessed with it like some people seem to be, but I do like it. One that I'm going to keep out on my vanity because I didn't use it as much as I wanted. This is from NARS. This is the Velvet Lip Glide. I do believe these are discontinued. Such a shame. It's such a beautiful formula. They're super moussey and just, oh, they're so nice. This is the shade Xenon. Again, I'm gonna keep this out. I don't think I used it more than one time, and I wanted to use it more than once. So again, keeping this one out. Okay, I've got my little box of makeup I'm pulling out for the next 2 weeks or so. Let's start with the foundations. I do like to have one of my not so glowy foundations pulled out at all times. So this is the Believe Beauty foundation. You can get it at Dollar General. It's a beautiful skin-like finish. I really, really enjoyed this one. And I'm gonna pull up this little sample from Purlisse. I've only used it one time. I really liked it. This is the Radiant Glow Illuminating BB Cream. It does have SPF 30 in it. I actually wouldn't mind using this up before the end of the year, just to have another makeup empty this year. So I'm gonna pull that one out, and then I'm gonna pull out my MAC Studio Radiance Face and Body Foundation. This is a little bit dark for me, so I'm hoping this will help me use up my Tarte Shape Tape that's so white on me. I'm kind of hoping to mix them together. We'll see how that works. They're very, very different formulas, like completely different, but we'll see if that will help me use up Tarte. So this is coming out as well. Let's talk blushes. This is actually the blush I'm wearing today. This is the Blush Sticks from ColourPop. This is the shade Roosevelt. And when I swatch it, like, I'm always like, man, why do I have that in my stash? It is so dark and honestly bronzer looking, but when you use a stipple brush with this, it creates, I feel, like a really, really pretty rosy brown that goes along really well with like neutral eye looks. And I like something like this for when I just don't know what shade of blush to pick. Sometimes I pick a blush and look at the whole look together and I go, that wasn't the best choice. But a nice neutral blush like this works well in those situations. So anyway, this is coming out. So I picked up one of these. I have been wanting to try M Cosmetics for, I don't know, 2 or 3 years, however long that they have had these out. This is the Serum Blush in the shade Venetian Rose. I got this in a BoxyCharm sale for something like $9. I was very, very pleased to be able to find something that I have been looking for such a long time. These are very pigmented. I'm gonna try and get just one little. Actually, I'm not even going to use the dropper. I'm just going to kind of wipe it on like that. So I'm going to be honest, I actually see similarities between this formula and the ColourPop one. Obviously, there are differences, but I've only used it one time, so I'll have to update you in my next update exactly my completed feelings on this serum blush from M Cosmetics. It's a really pretty color, but I'm starting to think serum blushes just aren't my favorite, but I'm kind of hoping this one changes my mind. It's really beautiful. I've been thinking about this blush from Patrick Ta, so that means I need to pull it into my Shop My Stash. So this is the Monochrome Moment Velvet Blush in the shade She's Passionate. It's a beautiful pink, and I don't really, a lot of my cream blushes lean more rosy or more terracotta. Like, I actually don't have a lot of just plain pink blushes. And this one lays so well on the skin and it creates a beautiful monochromatic look if you also put it on your eyes as eyeshadow. Really, really pretty. So yay, I'm looking forward to that. I also have a couple blushes in projects. So I'm just gonna pull out those 3 that aren't in projects, but otherwise for projects, I do have this one from Bare Minerals. This is the Bounce and Blur blush in the shade Mauve Sunrise. It's a beautiful, like more berry mauve-y tone. And this one is also in a project. This is from Sydney Grace. This is a powder blush in the shade Stiletto. And it's really, really pretty, cool toned, like almost purpley shade. And it has a little bit of sheen running through it. Very, very pretty. So there, those are the 5 blushes I'm gonna try and focus on for the next couple of weeks. Let's move on to highlighter. So I got this at TJ Maxx recently. I haven't been doing actually a lot of buying at TJ Maxx recently. I've been trying to do better, but I saw this. This is one of their limited edition ones. This was like a, what was this called? The Cherry Blossom. So this is the Shimmering Skin Perfector in the shade Rose Quartz, but since it's a special one, it has this really beautiful cherry blossom embossing on it. I'm kind of susceptible to the whole cherry blossom theme. I really love it. And I decided to go with this one. They had actually a couple of shades there, and I don't want to buy, I just don't want a gigantic highlight collection, but I did not have a pink shade like this, so I wanted to try it out. That's it right there on my wrist. I am looking forward to trying it. It's just a beautiful pink glow, something a little different for me. Again, going with something a little different for me, I do have a loose highlight from Sydney Grace. This is the shade Candied Peach. I'm hoping this is showing up well. It is a beautiful shade. I'm hoping that's not washed out. And then I do have one cream highlighter in a project. So this one from ColourPop, the shade Lunch Money. This will also be out on my vanity to use. Lunch Money is a beautiful soft glow. Again, I'm hoping I'm not washed out. Like I mentioned in my last video, my setup is a little different than usual. So I guess I will see in the footage if you guys can actually see that. If you can't, I'll try and insert something so you can see it better. Okay, I don't feel like I was washed out, but I do feel like I was a little far away. Hopefully this is better. So this first one is Becca Rose Quartz. This is Sydney Grace Candied Peach, and this is ColourPop Lunch Money. Okay, lips. So I do have, a couple products I'm trying to finish up before the end of the year, so I don't want to pull out too much. So in addition to this NARS one that I'm going to be keeping out from last time, I'm just going to roll in 3 products. So this gloss from Bobbi Brown, Crush Oil Infused Gloss. This is the shade New Romantic. This was another TJ Maxx find. I was so stoked because I've been wanting to try this, and this is the shade I even wanted, so even better. Beautiful, just kind of rosy brown again. Love those types of shades. I'm also going to pull out this little product from Seraphine Botanicals. This is the Berry and Juice Vegan Lip Gel. I feel like last time I had this out, I didn't really use it. So I'm going to try again to use it. It's kind of got some shimmer running through it. A little more purpley, but it's also a very sheer product. That's how it looks there. And since I'm so enjoying the sheer lip balm lipstick type formula, I have the L'Oreal Color Riche. Is it Riche? I don't know. It looks like it should be because they spell it so weirdly, but Color Riche or Rich Shine Varnished Rosewood. This is kind of a classic shade, isn't it? But again, kind of more on the cool tone side. So lovely. Looking forward to wearing it. Then for eyeshadow, since I do have eyeshadows in projects, I don't want to overwhelm myself, but since I did use all the shades in that Too Faced palette, I'm ready to roll in one of my other new palettes, and there's a cat hair on it. I'm trying to get the cat hair off. This is from Anastasia Beverly Hills. This is the Norvina palette. I am so excited. Again, my goal is going to be to use all of the shades in this before I roll it out. So that would be my goal next couple of weeks, to use as many shades as possible. Oh, I'm so excited. It's so beautiful. And I think it will go really well with like the pink highlighter I pulled out and lip products and things. So yeah, super excited about this. All right, those are all of the products I'm going to be pulling out to use. If you have any opinions about the products that I'm trying out, definitely let me know down below. I love hearing everyone's reviews. Everyone has such different experiences with makeup. It's so interesting to hear everyone's opinions. So definitely, if you're thinking some, definitely put them in the comments. I would love to hear them. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you so much for supporting my channel. I will see you very soon in my next video. Bye!